Hi everybody, welcome back to our garden. We had our first frost last night, so that means we've got a lot of garden work to do, a lot of flowers to bring down, all of our summer crops, including our tomatoes and peppers. Come and watch. Today is garden cleanup day, so we've got all the chickies in a new bed. This is where we had our potatoes, and after we harvested them, we had some random brassicas come up, and they're just going to town. What you doing back here?
Hey, trying to reclaim our pathway.
Wow.
We've got the mint garden that crept over originally from the neighbor's yard. We allowed to keep along this fence line was kind of encroaching out and had covered up this entire pathway for most of the summer. So just trying to clean it out and get our pathway back. I got most of it all raked out. It was filled with leaves. So right now I just have this last little bit of mint right here to clean out. I'm gonna get this out by the root. All of this I was just chopping. That way it can continue to grow next year. For this area, we grew a lot of the flowers for our wedding, and you can see some of the snapdragons here survived our frost. We also had a lot of just leafy greens. You can see the kale here still coming in. We're going to leave some of the kale. We'll give it to the chickens throughout the rest of autumn. We also have, what I'm breaking up here is some old arugula, and I'm just pretty much breaking up the stems and throwing them down, and I'll cover them up. But you can see the arugula all seeded. So we actually have some arugula coming in for a nice little fall crop. Maybe we'll put a small cold frame over this and let it give us some leafy greens. And looks like we got a little ways to go still with the snapdragons and some of this kale. So thankfully we're still reaping what we sowed. We're also going to keep some of, this is a sunflower, one of the bushing sunflower varieties that we grew. We're going to keep a couple of these, and as well as some of these broccolis that we have over here for beneficials. Right now they're helping banker some of the aphids away from some of the other plants we have in the yard, and we'll feed some of it to the chickens as it starts to die off. But we're going to keep probably a couple of these sunflower stalks to overwinter some beneficials, definitely this bigger one over here, and we'll keep some of these broccoli flowers around to keep some of our pollinators happy.
I am cutting up the dahlias from this summer, saving any of the flowers that are dried and just chopping all the rest up to feed back to the soil.
So you might be wondering why we're just leaving a lot of our compost material on the ground. A big reason is it's going to do just that, is compost in place, more of a cold method of composting. It's going to help feed the biology of the soil that we depleted when growing all of these plants. You can see there's a lot of peppers that are going to fall, so a lot of minerals that were taken up to make these peppers, as well as these pepper plants, will get consumed by the biology in the soil and return back into the soil so we can use them again, rather than putting some kind of chemical fertilizer into the soil and destroying the biology. So in this method, we're just going to cover it, put it to rest for the season, and in the spring we'll plant right directly back into it, and everything will compost into place. So if you look closely, you'll see that we left the stalk to these pepper plants in place with the roots continuing to go into the ground. What we'll do is we'll cut these flat, flush with the ground surface so that we don't trip on them during spring. But this will allow any of the microbiology and small detrivores inside the soil to come and consume those roots, and they also make great pathways and help keep the soil nice and aerated. So rather than just pulling out and disturbing it, we're just going to leave it there and cut it flush. Okay, so right now I'm covering these beds with all this beautiful leaf mulch. A lot of this stuff came from the trees that already came down, and so I'm gonna cover up the soil here and make sure the soil stays protected and it goes to sleep nicely. And then I'll come back through and probably lay some grass clippings over top of that so that all lays down and begins to compost. This is very great carbon, and this carbon is gonna go in and add a lot of great minerals. All the minerals that were being uptaken by this tree will get put right back into the soil back here. Leaves are an excellent source of fertility for the garden, and we try to use and compost as much as we're able to gather. Might even include taking some from our neighbors sometimes.
Day 2 of cleanup. Everything is already so empty. Our bean wall is officially gone. All of our tomatoes and peppers are gone. All of my dahlias clipped back. And these beds are ready to rest for the winter. Our compost pile got way too big overnight, so I gotta break all this stuff down and combine it.